What's up, everybody? My name is Tony Hope, and you're listening to the Hear Me Roar podcast, a sports show where I run my mouth about all things sports. And today, I am still at home. Georgia State is still closed, so we're going to be bringing y'all another iteration of the Hear Me Roar podcast from home. And if you're not familiar with my voice, you better get used to it because I am the future of sports media. And today, I'm back with my co-host, Noble Lewis. And this time, you know what I'm saying? We're making it a trio. We're making it a trifecta. And we're bringing on one of our friends, Ronald Bell. So introduce yourself, Ronald.
Yep, my name is Ronald. I like to watch sports, football, basketball, whatever you like. I just like it in the free time and just here to talk sports today.
Yeah, he does a little thing, but one thing that he left out, um, and we will
Yeah,
hold him
hold on,
against
hold
it. We
on.
will hold him against it. We will judge him in the comments everywhere. He's a New Orleans Saints fan. So,
And the Pelicans too.
yeah, but the Pelicans are trash. We'll get into both of them very shortly. We'll get into both of them very shortly. But thank y'all for tuning in. On YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast at, leave us a rating. Give us some feedback, positive, negative, doesn't matter. Whatever you feel like our show is, tell us because we want to make sure that Hear Me Roar is the best out of any sports show out there. So please don't hold back. Give us some critique. Rate us, like, comment, subscribe, share. Because we're trying to go up to the moon with this. So without any further ado, let's get right into the topics of today. Starting off first, Thursday night football. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the New Orleans Saints on Amazon Prime 30-22. It was a good game for the Rams. The Saints, the Saints were trying to make it interesting in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough. The deficit that they sustained early in the game, going down 27 points to 7 by the third quarter, was too much to overcome. Matt Stafford had a good game, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns for 24 on 34 pass completions. Derek Carr, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception. Alvin Kamara, that boy was doing nothing. 19 yards off of 9 carries. That was surprising to see. Puka Nacua is having an absolutely amazing season. He is in contention for Rookie of the Year. 164 yards and a touchdown off of 9 receptions. So let's dive right into it. The Rams, they are on a roll. They're on a roll right now. They won against the Commanders. They lost against the Ravens, but they found their rhythm earlier when they beat the Browns 36-19. They beat the Cardinals 37-14. Now they beat the Rams 30-22. So they're looking like a viable playoff team as we approach the final 2 weeks of the season. So Noble, what did you take away from that Rams Saints game?
Yeah, they're definitely one of the hotter teams in football right now. I on the 49ers, I'm deep in that on Twitter and all this, and there's a couple worrisome talks. I'm one of those because right now they kind of remind me of the 2021 49ers, where they're not the best team in their division. The 49ers are the best team, but they're on fire at the right time. Their roster, especially offensively, is better than their record shows. I mean, they've got Puka's emergence. They've got Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams out of the backfield. He had 22 carries for 107 yards, 104 yards last night. Matthew Stafford, of course, being who Matthew Stafford is. So they're one of the sneaky good teams where you're not focused on them as one of the powerhouses, but like you said, they're on fire as of late, and I would you can't overlook them right now.
Not at all. Not at all. I agree with you on that. They, like you said, they're just catching fire at the right time. They were up and down for the majority of the season, but because of course Cooper Kupp was hurt at the start of the season. But now, like you said, if health permitting, they're finding that rhythm. Kyron Williams, he's been doing great. That he was a surprise with how well he's been playing, especially yesterday. 22 carries, 104 yards. That boy was trucking. And of course, Puka Nacua, his just immediate impact can't be understated. And once you have a rookie that can immediately come out and produce like that, it makes your job as a quarterback that much easier. Because now we already know what Cooper Kupp can do. We've seen what they've done with him in the past. It ended up in a Super Bowl win. So now you're keeping him, and you're adding on another dynamic receiver, someone who is going to literally, you pass him the ball, he's going to do something with it. So yeah, I agree with that. The Rams are just catching fire at the right moment. And on the Saints' behalf, and before I pass it to you, Ron, they've been the definition of mediocre all season, right? And I know it's funny coming from a Falcons fan whose team is actually doing worse, but the Saints have been the definition of mediocre all season. I said it at the beginning, and I repeat it every time I bring up the Saints on the show. When they signed Derek Carr to that however much $1 million contract for 3-4 years, that was stupid. It was dumb because they had so many different questions, and I get it. You still have Michael Thomas. You still have Alvin Kamara. You have Chris Olave. You're trying to make something work with them and not trying to completely go into, I don't want to say rebuild mode, but starting over. But now we're getting to the point where it's like, we're going to need you. You know, every other game, Derek Carr is hurt. Every other and every game he's making a mistake. The offensive line can't hold up. It's just a concoction of mid, and that's what it's going to be. As you can see, y'all records is 7-8. Y'all's chances of making the playoffs are slimming. So what do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about the game and how the Saints season is going so far?
You summed it up. This game summed up our whole season. We're mid. I'm gonna start with Derek Carr. Should have never signed him to the contract. You watch his game. I never seen a man panic so much in the pocket. The smallest pressure, he's just gonna go. He had 2 sacks, got sacked twice this game. Went down twice in the red zone. Once again, one of the worst red zone teams in the league. Why is Jimmy Graham not in the game? The biggest red zone target, and one of the biggest red zone target in NFL history, is not in the game. And you know why? Because of Pete Carmichael, one of the worst offensive play calling in the league. So I'm going to tell you right now, we don't need to win any more games. We're in a bad position. We're in a total rebuild, like you said. And it's a shame because, like as you stated, we have one of the best offenses in the league. Shaheem, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. How can you not get it together? And it all derives from Derek Carr, who is mid.
Yeah, and it's I agree with y'all with you on that because you only have, according to the New York Times playoff simulator, they only got like a 39% chance of making the playoffs, right? And if y'all won over the Rams, y'all would have gone up to 71%. So that complete difference in percentages of making the playoffs just from that one loss, it does warrant just I don't want to say throwing away the rest of the season, but y'all had like one of the easiest seasons in the NFL.
We had the easiest schedule in the league.
And
y'all, both of y'all.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all are below 500. Well, I know we are. Yeah, you're not telling me about Arthur Smith. We already covered him last week, but y'all are under 500. I think y'all's coach Dennis Allen,
one of the worst coaches.
He is coaching his way to the nearest po' boy shop down there. Like this is one of the most mediocre divisions we've seen in a long time, and this is one of the worst the division has been. Period for a long time. And just for right now, the Buccaneers are pulling away. They've won 3 in a row. They're pulling out as the clear favorite to win the division, make it to the playoffs.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
Like that at the start of the year.
Because whoever gets to the playoffs, they're losing. They're losing first round. I'm sorry.
Easy.
Honestly, it depends on who they play because they're on fire right now. If they play it depends on how the Eagles finish this season out. If they play the Eagles first round and the Eagles BS around against the Giants and whoever else they play, the
Cardinals.
Cardinals. If they BS around against them, I might have the Bucks over them in the first round. I'm gonna be honest, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, because it's discussed the last episode. The Eagles are spiraling right now, and they gotta find their footing. So it's gonna be real. It's real interesting for our off seasons, right? Because we you allocated all that money to Derek Carr, and the Falcons allocated so much money to different positions, but it ended up the same. It ended up the same with both of us being under 500, most likely not going to make the playoffs, and coaches that are under exceeding tremendously.
Which is crazy because Derek Carr has shown this his whole career. With the Raiders, he's shown he's not a proven. He's not a top 15 quarterback. Let's break it down real. He's just not a top 15 quarterback.
No, there was a time, I can't remember the year.
It was like 2016. It was like 2016. But think about it. That's 8 years ago.
That's a long time ago.
That's 7 years ago now. So we can't
hold that no more. Yeah.
The reason that he is just keep on going. He should really, to be honest, he should have been benched 2 weeks ago for Jameis Winston. And the reason that he's still in the games because Dennis Allen, who was the coach of the Raiders, who has been proven to never do anything, has a negative record. He's like 20 and like 44 as a coach.
You also paid him all that money.
Exactly.
That's optics. They gotta play. You pay him all that money. You can't sit on the bench, bro. The ownership go tell him to get up, get your ass up, and get in the game. But
another thing is, he doesn't have the team. Drew Brees, everybody knew he had the team, and he had New Orleans. He was the heart and soul of that team. Derek Carr, nobody listens to him. On the sideline, what are you doing? You're yelling at your wide receivers. You got Jameis Winston patting you on the back, dancing in front of you. Nobody takes you serious.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
That's showing heart.
It's definitely, and just we can't understate the importance of coaching too. We look at what Sean Payton's doing in Denver.
Exactly.
Turned their entire season around once they got going. He was holding his quarterback accountable, Russell Wilson. He was holding him accountable. And while some might say you should never yell at your quarterback, you always do it behind closed doors. Yeah. Look, something's working over there. Despite them losing last week to the who they played, the Lions, they're still in contention for a playoff spot. And like I said, Sean Payton going over there already turned the Broncos season around from what it was earlier this season, and definitely from what it was last season.
Exactly. So the reason why?
Why?
It's because he's an alpha. Every team needs an alpha on that team. I'm being for real. Every team, every coach, you need a player on that team that needs to be an alpha. Who's the alpha for the Saints? Nobody.
No.
So Sean Payton he's not going to let Russell Wilson get off free. So that's why you've seen that they're improving because he's the alpha.
Yeah. And you just look at the Saints, bro. Like, just firstly, Alvin Kamara had that court case earlier. Exactly. And ever since then, he's just been moping on the field. Like, I get it. Nine carries for 19 yards.
I'm not going to fully blame it on him though. The offensive line, at least rushing, isn't.
No, we have one of the O-lines too. O-lines.
But are you only going to give that man 9 attempts to run the ball?
Which is insane.
Yeah, but I mean that's not. I'm just saying that's not all. But they got down so much early. It was at the point where they had to throw the ball. That was harder to. I mean, I don't know what their game plan was going into it, but they got smacked in the face early, and they got to the point where like I said, they had to start throwing the ball because they weren't going to come back just running.
Yeah, you just had y'all just having a. Like I said, y'all just fell flat on y'all's face this year. Let's just be real. It's Michael Thomas got arrested earlier this season too, like last month.
Olave just got arrested for speeding.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, he's having a sneaky good season. He has 1,000.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, he is.
But that just goes to show like the microcosm of how this season has been for the New Orleans Saints. It's just been, it's horrible. Like from the play on the field to coaching to off the field. The display, like I don't even say displays, but like just behavior, off the field behavior. The Saints have underwhelmed all their fans and definitely have underwhelmed in the context of the NFC South division.
Which is saying a lot to say how trash our division is and one of the easiest schedules for both of us. That we're just trash. Really this is like the season for you to succeed. There was no other way how you have Michael Thomas coming back and you do this. We just trash.
Yeah, and it ain't gonna get no better for y'all because we finna go down to New Orleans and beat y'all again at the end of the year. Not gonna go 2-0 on us, but that's neither here nor there. That's
We're
neither
not
here
gonna
nor there.
right now. I hope y'all do actually get some pride.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go there. We're gonna, what I'm saying, Webby gonna be in attendance. Boosie gonna be in attendance too. He's gonna be rooting for us though.
Alpha not gonna hold it down for us. We good. We good.
So yeah, like it's the Rams, literally a tale of two different seasons. The Rams catching fire going into the playoffs. The Saints just continue to dig themselves into a bigger hole. Might as well just go ahead and call this a season. I don't think Dennis Allen's going to be around next year.
Or P. Carmichael shouldn't be there either. Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Derek Carr. And see, that's what's so bad. That's why I didn't like that contract. Because now, what do you do with Derek Carr?
Can't do anything.
You're going to want to draft young. Because right now, you got Derek Carr and Jameis Winston as your two options for quarterback. What's the next? Like, what's the next for y'all? If you draft a quarterback, how long do you want to sit him behind Jameis Winston and fucking Derek Carr? So, like,
if you have the chance, you have to go get that. Because you see right now that this is not going to be a success just off the first year. So you got to go take that risk. Like we passed on a few years ago, could have Lamar Jackson. We traded up to get Marcus Davenport. What is he doing? Marcus Davenport. And you could have got Lamar Jackson. See, that's what I'm talking about. The front office has also been kind of suspect the past couple of years. You have not drafted the right prospects. I'm just telling you, man, this is not good.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, no.
Oh, I was just gonna say that there's a lot of teams that if a quarterback is there, you have to take it. Like we said that I said that last week, but yeah, like there's so many teams right now. Just quarterback play in general and quarterback health is so iffy right now that if you have one of these top QB prospects available, you got no choice but to take it. Right. Saints are one of those teams.
Falcons, I would say the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't want Desmond Ridder to even step foot into Mercedes-Benz Stadium again at this point. Like, bro, you can be the placeholder.
Yeah, go let him. JJ's Fish. I heard they're hiring down the street.
JJ's hiring. I know Balbun Cafe's hiring. I know Benihana might be hiring too. Yeah. But he's
Mr. DoorDash, man. He don't need all that. Man.
He makes too many mistakes to even go to Benihana. He's gonna try to flip the damn ship into the air. He makes too many mistakes. He's gonna turn that shit over too. So the Saints too, not just their draft situation. What do you do with Michael Thomas? What do you do with Alvin Kamara? I'm keeping Chris Olave for sure. But
y'all are in a pretty rough cap situation, aren't you?
Exactly. Like we're over the cap. We've been over the cap for years since you.
Yeah, it feels like years. It feels like y'all have been over the cap.
In this case, Alvin Kamara, I would demand a trade.
Me too.
Which I would demand a trade. And if I'm the Saints, you can go. I'm gonna let you go and do what you want. Kind of like along the lines with a Damian Lillard situation for the NBA. You can go do and you can go where you want to go because I got the respect for you and you did your time. In which Alvin Kamara is he's still a top running back. So, in my opinion, trade him. Also, Michael Thomas, trade value has gone down. We should have
so much.
Should have dumped them years ago. So right now, like Noble said, we're in a bad position all around, in which I don't know what to say going forward. A lot of changes need to be made.
It does. It needs to happen very quickly because y'all. The future of the division is still up in the air, but you don't want to fall too far down the hole. You don't want to be down there with the Panthers, right?
Yeah, sure don't.
So because like the Panthers, they got so much work that needs to be done with them. You don't want to just continue to fall. I just noticed too. From last week, that was who's the Panthers coach, the new coach after they fired Frank Reich.
I can't even think of the name right now.
Chris Tabor. He was he used to be the special teams coordinator for the Panthers. He has 26 seasons of coaching experience, right? First time he was in the head coach position. That was his first win was against us. So if we tally up this season, Will Levis debut game, killed us. Josh Dobbs' first game in Minnesota, killed us. Kyler Murray's first game back in Arizona, killed us. Chris Tabor's first win as a head coach, killed us.
That's crazy.
This is embarrassing. Embarrassing. But we're finna go from one embarrassing team to another team that is embarrassing itself and its legacy. The Pittsburgh Steelers. So we saw last week against the Colts the way they lost. There was a moment in the game where George Pickens didn't block for his teammate, his running back, Jaylen Warren. It was actually on the goal line, or it was pretty much on the goal line in the red zone. There was a chance for George Pickens to go in and at least show some effort, make a attempt to help his teammate make a play by blocking one of the three defenders steamrolling right to him, and he decided to pull out. He just stood there and he looked at his running back teammate get pretty much chewed up, and it was a horrible look. In an interview, he said he didn't, or in the post game interview when asked about it, he said that he didn't want to block for Jaylen Warren because he didn't want to run the risk of an injury. He didn't want to get ran over and hurt himself, because that's how Tank Dell got hurt earlier this season. And that was just the biggest BS excuse. That was the biggest lack of accountability possible. And to add on top of that, Mike Tomlin was he's pretty much rolling with him going into this game against the Bengals next week. So there is no accountability. He pretty much is showing zero effort. He's showing no type of culpability when it comes to performing on the field if he doesn't get his way. And the head coach is pretty much endorsing it by letting him play the following game. So let's start with you, Ron. How do you what's your thoughts on George Pickens and how the Steelers have been just looking this season?
The Steelers overall should not be 7-7, in which the quarterback played terrible. They still have one of the best defenses in the league, which is crazy for all of these years. And it's just a underwhelming season for them. But George Pickens, I hate to say it, but he's starting to develop as one of the prima donna wide receivers. It's just you keep on seeing this. The wide receivers just start getting, I don't know what it is. After a couple of years, they start feeling themselves. So I think he's one of them. I don't think he wants to be there. You obviously, if you just saw the practice film, no effort in the drills. I think it's time to move on. And I don't think he's just, like you said, that's uncalled for you not to be blocking. This late in the season, when we're talking about playoff contention and you're not blocking, you're not giving any effort, somebody needs to do some. I saw what Tomlin said in the press conference. I think they need to sit him to show him that that's just not going to work, man. I'm sorry. Not in this late in the season. No.
Man, forget this late in the season, bro. That's just a BS excuse, bro.
Exactly.
Your job as a receiver
is
is
to
not
block.
only to catch balls. I'm not gonna say anybody can do it, but if somebody has to block that. The reason the 49ers are so successful is because you see Brandon Ayuk, you see Juwan Jennings down there, giving full effort to make these blocks downfield, because that's how big runs develop. You don't score, you don't get these 70, 50, 40 yard runs without good wide receiver blocking downfield, because those corners, those safeties are just going to crash it every time. And so for you to be on the goal line and say, I'm not going to block because I don't want to get injured, it's just, that there's no excuse for that. And there needs to be somebody in the Steelers, aside from him just needing to take personal accountability, there needs to be somebody in the Steelers locker room to get in his face and tell him, dude, we're trying to make a playoff push. If you're not bought in, then you can go, you can leave, you can sit down, right, bro. Like, if you're not bought in, this is late, especially being late season and them being a fringe playoff team, y'all fates aren't secured. You need to be selling out on every play. And so it's just been an effort thing. And I think it comes down to coaching. I love Mike Tomlin. Obviously a legend, one of the better coaches of all time, but he has to take some form. He has to take a step and take a stand. Like the reason this behavior, and we saw it with AB, with Le'Veon, we've seen it just in the Steelers locker room for however long, is because that falls down on coaching. Like you have to take a stand against certain. You can't just let players do whatever they want. Undisciplined football and players just doing whatever they want is not how you win. And so, roster aside, they have to get the attitude in control, because we've seen George Pickens block. He can block. He can bully DBs when he wants to block. We've seen it happen. So it's just purely a will thing, a want. He doesn't want it. So you got to show him. And I know receiver is it's one of the most reliant positions in football, because you have to rely on the quarterback seeing you have to rely on game plan, you have to rely on the offensive line holding up. So it's easy to catch an attitude when things aren't going right, but you have to put your pride aside, especially for a team that's a fringe playoff team, and just, like we said with DK, it's gonna come. And it didn't come till the last drive for DK last game, but when it came. And his moment, he showed up when it was time to shine. So you just have to, you have to settle in your offense and play your role until it's time to do your job. And it's just, it's not going to work with attitudes just being and egos being wherever they want to be.
Yeah, and I think that we do got to hold Mike Tomlin accountable too. Like, look. When was the last time the Steelers were a real Super Bowl team?
Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, what we talking like 6-7 years ago?
Bro, Ben Roethlisberger was still a great quarterback at that. Like when the last time we were really talking about them, and the last time the Steelers could have made a deep run was when they had AB and Juju after Le'Veon Bell left. That was the absolute bare last time. And now since then, what have y'all done? Nothing. When the collapse of that Steelers team was one to behold. It has lots to do with the attitudes not being put in check. And now George Pickens is coming along, and it's more of the same. I agree with what both of y'all were saying. Like, look, somebody in that locker room needs to sit up there and say, look, you're telling me after all of the mishap and misfortune we have had in this season, and the way we have been able to, still stay afloat, still fight for that playoff spot, the way that we're trying to get there, and you're going to sit up here and not show any effort in the red zone, on the goal line, to at least to make a play. You ain't gonna make all of them. You're not going to. I'm not asking you to pancake every man that you come into contact with, right? But you're telling me that you're just going to give up on the play before the whistle's blown? That is say again?
With one of the hardest divisions in the league right now.
Right. Everybody is in the playoffs right now in that division. Everybody is fighting to get as high as a seed as possible. And that's the look you're going to show. It's a shame. This is not just something we got to hold George Pickens accountable for. Yeah, Mike Tomlin, I don't care if you finished above 500 your whole career. That's not what the Steelers' success is predicated on, right? Like, am I wrong in saying that the Steelers are a team built on championships? The Lakers, team built on championships. The Patriots, built on championships. These are teams where I don't care if you finish the season 10-7. If we're not making a deep run in the playoffs, if we're not going to at least continuously show improvement en route to a Super Bowl win soon, then the season is not a success. Plain and simple. You have 6 championships, and you have been in contention for a title every decade. And ever since Big Ben left, it's been mediocre. Like just this season, y'all cycling through all y'all's QBs. Kenny Pickett is out for this next game against the Bengals. Mason Rudolph is starting. The one who got smacked up upside the head by Myles Garrett. So this is the Steelers are currently imploding. George Pickens, he's on his way to being cut. Just truthfully, no contracts ain't guaranteed in the NFL. You don't want to get cut before you even get your real money yet. So it's like I said, it's just a bad look for the Steelers in general, not just George Pickens, but Mike Tomlin, the front office, everything. They need to get their what together, real fast.
Yep.
Because as a fan of a team that whose owner is currently looking to support his trash coach Arthur Smith because he just wants to see improvement. That's not what I want to see if I'm a Steelers fan. There is no improvement. We're going for championships, and y'all got the pieces to build around.
Exactly.
George Pickens, Demontae, and speaking of that too, George Pickens was the same one who was getting aggravated about Demontae Johnson getting the ball more than he was. So it's just an overall attitude problem with George Pickens, and he needs to really humble himself because I don't think he knows how quickly you can be replaced.
Yep.
In the NFL, in a league where only the best of the best make it, you can be replaced. Plain and simple.
Sure.
Plain and simple.
Career can go downhill just like this, man.
And it's not like he's, it was one thing with I think the reason why everybody let AB slide a little bit, like they did, was because he's one of the all-time greats, right? Like he has the resume to back it up. He was acting crazy, but we kind of we didn't let it slide, but it wasn't as big a deal because he was established. He had staying. Like he was, this is a 1,600-yard receiver, all first team all pro Bowl receiver. George Pickens, you haven't done anything yet, bro. You haven't warranted the ability to even not give effort. Like, I'm not saying anybody should ever not give effort, but you don't even have the resume to say, oh, you're not a 8-year vet, bro. You're in your second or third year. Like, this is when you should be trying to prove yourself.
Exactly. You still got stuff to prove.
Exactly.
Like,
so
it's like you make it to the NFL is one thing. Now you got to stay in the NFL. You got to improve in the NFL. Like, just because you made the NFL, you are not made. You're not a made man. We've seen players who act like that, like Jamarcus Russell. You made the NFL, and then you thought that was enough. What's buddy name? Kenny Galladay. You got your money, and you thought that was enough. Now look at you. You
got his bag first, though. Like he made it to his bag. He got paid by the Giants a big contract, but still,
which was so stupid.
It's just entitlement. Part of it is a sense of entitlement, and he, like you said, thinking that making it to the NFL and being a high draft pick is enough to warrant this behavior, but nothing warrants this behavior.
Not at all. So yeah, the man, this episode, we over here, we grilling these teams. We grilled the Saints, we grilling the Falcons, got thrown in there too. We grilling the Steelers.
Everybody getting it, man.
Yeah, it's the end of the season, so a lot of, at this point, the team you are is the team you are. It ain't changing that. So now a lot of these teams, they're looking forward. They're looking past the playoffs now. They're looking to next season. They're already starting to get some movement going up at the top and working their way down. But we're gonna take a quick break from talking about the NFL, talking about football. We're gonna transition into the NBA. As we know, Ja Morant, he has returned back to basketball operations with the Grizzlies. He came back a couple of nights ago where he beat the New Orleans Pelicans in a buzzer beater with a buzzer beater in his first game back from suspension, a 25-game suspension. I'm not sure if there has ever been a player to come back from a 25-plus game suspension and then just drop off the opposing team like that. It was interesting. He was suspended for his conduct off the court, toting guns and over here trying to live the thugnificent lifestyle.
Young boy life.
Yeah, he got, you know what I'm saying? He was in Memphis for too long. He started wanting to run around like Young Dolph and Key Glock and all these folks.
CMG.
Yeah, he's over here trying to be Great Street, so he had to tighten up. But I mean, I'm rooting for him. Like I said, he came back and he dropped 34 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, a steal, and a block in 35 minutes of play. And he capped it off with a game-winning layup at the buzzer. We all know who he is. He's that guy.
Well, some people forgot. Some people put some crazy people in some conversations above Ja, and I'm glad he came back and
shut all that down. Shut all that down. The Grizzlies, though, they're 8-19. They were previously 6-19 before Ja Morant came back, and they won last night. Who did they beat? It was their home debut. They beat the Pacers. Okay, so they won. They're on a 2-game win streak since he's been back. They play us Saturday, so you already know what's going to happen there. We're going to see how that goes. But how do you feel like? How do you feel about, or what do you look for in Ja Morant now that he's came back, and how do you feel like the Grizzlies can turn their season around?
I mean, it's just for the Grizzlies. It's just a matter. I mean, this is what we've all been waiting for. Honestly, to me, it's no surprise that Ja came back and is doing as well as he's doing. We know who Ja is. We know who the Grizzlies are. They should be doing this well. They should be winning games. So, I mean, I just come back and expect Ja to be Ja. Like, put the sticks down, bro, and focus on basketball. And this season, I think he's got to work extra hard to keep a clean image. Because now, like we talked about with Draymond, the magnifying glass is on you. Everybody's going to be looking for you to make a mistake. So he's got to work extra hard on his off-court image. Make sure he's not putting himself at risk with any nonsense, any dumb behavior. And then just on the court, just go be Ja. Run our offense. Do your thing. Be our bucket getter. They got him back. Unfortunately, Steven Adams is still out for the year, so that's a big loss that they're gonna have to overcome. And I don't know if they will be able to overcome them, but I think playoffs is definitely they should be making the playoffs. I think there's enough time left to turn the season around and up to make the playoffs, especially since they have to play in. So it's just a matter of, for now, you're in a hole. Getting time to start digging. It's time to start, put your shoulder against the boulder and start pushing and climb your way out of this hole, doing the way you know how.
What about you, Ron? What's your takeaway?
I got to give this man his props, man, because you don't understand the conditioning level, man. The conditioning to come back, talking about dropping 35 minutes. Even though in the Pelican games he had to sub out because, he was gassed. We're talking about a man going to the basket every play, showing full effort. It's impressive. It's really impressive. But as far as them going to the playoffs, the West is very competitive. I would say they have enough time to get in the play-in tournament and definitely make some shape. But also, I want to say that whole narrative of, the Grizzlies can win without you still here, Tony?
Either way, you can keep going.
All right. The whole narrative of, the Grizzlies can win without Ja Morant, done. It's done. They cannot win without Ja Morant. He is the leader of that team. And as you've seen, back-to-back games leading the team to W's. So I think that this is a you got to watch out for him. They're still if they make the plan, nobody wants to play them. And I think they still are very powerful.
Yeah, they're still one of.
Can you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, I got you. Good now.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. My Wi-Fi just decided to just take an absolute shit on itself. So I was.
Yeah,
we all able to hear each other?
Yeah, we were still going. I just told him. I just told Ron to keep going. So, but yeah, he's he just finished talking about the Grizzlies and how nobody would want to play them if they're a play-in team.
Yeah, I caught that part.
Oh yeah, I was saying 22. You know the part about that whole narrative of they could win without the Grizzlies. I mean, that they can win without Ja Morant. That narrative is done.
Oh yeah, it's cooked.
Desmond Bain is the team. Ja Morant is the leader of the team.
Yep, and there is no doubt about that. 6-19, boy, you do need him. Before, when you would go out last season, y'all already had gotten a padding. Y'all had a cushion. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could afford to drop a couple, even though they were winning more and they were losing even without Ja. They had already found that rhythm. It's different when you got to start from game one and find some success for 25 games in a row without your star player. Now that's different.
Speaking of the Pelicans games, I watched most of the game, and it's crazy how he's still that explosive. We're talking about one of the best defensive players on him, Herb Jones, blowing past him. Nobody can guard him. He's doing what he wants. He dropped 34 points with 0 threes.
Right, so it's insane.
Back in stride. It's over with.
Yep. And he, in his post-game interview, he said he expected there to be jitters. Guys not knowing what to do, but he didn't want to change nothing up. Like he has to be Ja. He has to be himself, which is true. It's going at the beginning of the season, it's clear that Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson, they were not ready to carry that load of being the number one and number two of that team. They have started to find some rhythm in December, earlier this month. But now that Ja is back, they can kind of fall back into their rightful roles. They can get more comfortable. Like, I'm not a team sport guy as far as I've never really played football on a high level, never played basketball on a high level, and I don't hide that. But I do so much watching of the game. I do so much research. I do so much studying that it's clear to me that players with someone on the field, players with someone on the court can look totally different. Their comfort level, their effort, their excitement, all of that looks completely different if they're not on the court. And I think that was super pertinent with, or not pertinent, but evident with Ja Morant being out for those first 25 games. Like, now, watch, we're going to see the Grizzlies go on some crazy streak. They're going to climb their way out of the Western Conference cellar, and they're going to be looking like a team that we expect to make a push into the playoffs. And honestly, I'm looking at the state of the Western Conference. I ain't worried about the Warriors. Nope. I ain't worried about the Kings. Nope. I ain't worried about the Pelicans. I ain't worried. If I'm the Grizzlies.
You worried about the Kings?
Not if I'm the Grizzlies.
I don't think they're ready. Not
if I'm the Grizzlies. On the Grizzlies, I'm looking at the Kings. I'm salivating. I don't want to play the. I don't want to play the Clippers. I don't want to play the
Nuggets,
Timberwolves, Thunder. The Thunder are taking the Kings spot as like a. They looking sneaky.
The young gunners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they looking sneaky competitive. The Kings, and just not to take anything away from the Kings and how they've been playing with D Fox and Malik Monk and Demontae Kazee, but I think they rely too much on their shooting. And when push comes to shove, it's going to get dirty in the playoffs. Who's going to be that physical guy to, like Ja Morant, who's going to get into the hole at will? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the Grizzlies got shooters around. No pun intended. They got shooters around Ja. That is horrible. I'm not trying to make fun of the man, but you know what I'm saying? They got shooters around Ja. He don't got to be the one that be taking all the threes. So when you have someone that explosive, that physical, someone who's going, and plus the rest of the team too, who's going to get into the paint, get into your face, fight on the boards, it's going to make it a tough matchup for anyone. And I don't think the Kings got that. So that's why I'm like the Grizzlies. They looking at them and they want to get to a position where they can take the Kings on in the playoffs, so they can overtake them. But the Grizzlies, like I said, their hopes are on the up. Now that they got their number one back, all the haters, don't be stupid. Don't try to discount that man because you don't like what he does off the court. He's still a top 3, top 5 point guard in the league. Let's be real, and he never lost it. And let's just keep on this topic of the Grizzlies versus Pelicans, and just transition to how the Pelicans. They The Saints are in turmoil, and the Pelicans got some nonsense going on too. Back in July 2022, I even talked about this on the show. Back in July 2022, the Pelicans extended the contract of Zion Williamson, and they managed to lock him up for another 5 years for $197 million. He was a former number 1 pick in 2019, and it was a move that was met with some good, some bad. I was one of the ones that were in the middle because it all had to depend on if Zion could stay on the court. And guess what? His ass can't stay on the court. So he missed significant chunks of his first 3 years in the NBA, including all of the 2021-2022 season. And as a result, the Pelicans put in a lot of contingencies in his contract, such as your ass gonna have to stay at a good weight. Your ass gonna have to play you can't miss more than 22 games. And since last year, he only played 29 games. So it triggered a clause in his contract that says the money that he makes for the next 3 years, so 2025, 2026, 2026, 2027, and 2027, 28, that's no longer guaranteed money. So, Ron, I'll start with you. And also before I give it to you, that also gives the Pelicans the power to waive Zion Williamson after the 2024-2025 season with no financial ramifications. So they won't get hit in the cap by cutting him after next season. And if he misses even more time this year, it's going to cut into his salary again. So I want to start with you, Ron. How do you feel about Zion, considering that is your team, so you're going to know more than others? And what do you think the Pelicans should do from here?
I've been waiting for this moment, man. Waiting for this moment. Zion, I'm tired of you, man. I'm tired of you. You have shown no effort since you stepped in the building. It's unacceptable. You're too big.
Hold on. Now clarify that statement, because when Zion was on the court, he was a monster.
Sophomore year, man. Sophomore year.
You know what I'm saying? When he was on the court, he was hooping.
I'm gonna get to that statement too. He was a monster. But the thing is, people see this hyper Zion. He could drive to the goal, so powerful, all of this. He has not developed his game. Look at his game. I watch the Pelicans often. As you watch his game, he has no post work. I'm talking about no mid-range. He's no threat at the 3. I watch him play the Lakers and drop 13 points. LeBron is literally, he's at the paint while Zion is at the 3-point line, daring him to shoot. There's no way possible as a 23-year-old man, you cannot shoot a 3 that is 6'6". You show no effort. Put down the Raising Cane. Stop going to the box combo. Stop going to Popeyes and getting that spicy 3-piece tender. Put it down, my brother. The effort is just not there. Okay, I'm gonna go to. You said, of course, I saw the highlights about that they can cut him or whatever, blah blah blah. He doesn't want to be there. I'm gonna be honest. He doesn't want to be there. You have shown no effort that you want to be there. So if I'm the Pelicans, I say trade him. His peak value is now. Trade the man. You trade him. Yep. You don't want to be there. You show no effort to be there. Get rid of you. You can go to New York. You know what I'm saying? Get you a chopped cheese. Get up out of there. We don't want you over here, bro. You're not over here. Another thing is, I was watching Charles Barkley, Shaq. They criticize him a lot. There's no way possible you should be averaging 5 rebounds.
Yeah, I'm about to say, bro.
You're in the paint every single play. Why are you averaging 5 rebounds?
You should have about 9 offensive rebounds a game.
Exactly. You show no effort on offense and defense. You only want to play offense. You play no defense. You a cone on defense. Patrick Beverley said, use a cone, driving right past you. I'm looking at it. He can't play defense. Doesn't shuffle his feet. What happened to the aggression that he had when he played for Duke? Defense-wise, he was a dog on defense. Now, terrible. Going back also to what Charles Barkley said, nobody in the Pelicans locker room or front office can say anything to him because he feels that he's so empowered that nobody can. Who's going to tell him something? Willie Green can't tell you anything. Brandon Ingram can't tell you anything. What have you done? So
I don't think Brandon Ingram cares, bro. Like he looks so laid back on life.
Exactly.
Hey,
So
man, he just like the smoking hoop.
He just want to smoke the Zion and just hoop. Okay, but Zion, you want to do your thing off the court, handle your business with the porn star. We're not going to talk on that right now.
I was about to say that's a whole other thing too.
Exactly. You have shown no effort as soon as you stepped in the building. I'm sorry, Tony. I know what you said about that he was a dog on the court, but when are you on the court?
Yeah. Availability is the best ability.
When you were on the court, guess what? We went to the playoffs without you and got 2 games off the Suns. So you thinking that we need you? We do need you. But if you don't want to be here, you can pack your bags and get out of here. You don't deserve to have all of this money. I felt that we should have never gave him the money in the first place. What have you proven to us?
No.
Nothing.
No. Yeah, well, it was good on them to put those clauses in, to have the foresight to put those clauses in the contract, because
I'm gonna ask y'all a question too after this when you go Nova.
Because like you said, he wasn't proven. Like he was proven that he could hoop when he wanted to, or when he was willing to, cut the weight and put that effort in. But he really doesn't have a long resume. He's had one great season. He injured rookie year, came in, played well, had a great sophomore year. His third year hurt, and it's just like you said, it's not enough. He hasn't really proven himself as much as he might think he has, or as much as he might feel entitled as he has. And so I just think I respect the Pelicans for having, like I said again, having the foresight to put all of these conditions into the contract, because I've never really heard of a weight clause for like that's kind of crazy that they even.
That's the problem. The weight clause. That's
a problem.
You're 23 years old. Come on, man.
Like that is for real. Like that's like something you would give like Eddie Curry. Like that's a problem if you're only 23 and you're only firstly, it's a problem that if you. So I agree with you, Noble, with the Pelicans have the great job of having the foresight of putting those clauses in. But the fact that you even have to have that foresight is a problem. It's embarrassing.
So that just shows that you don't care, right?
Exactly. Like you gotta look, man. The life of a professional athlete is not something to envy. No, it's not at all. The amount of conditioning they got to go through, the way that some players going to have to watch their diet more than others. Everybody can't be Chad Ochocinco and eat McDonald's and then go out and catch passes for 250 yards. No, it's just not like that. You got to be able to watch your weight. You got to be able to go to the weight room and continuously push through adversity with your own body. You're fighting with your own body sometimes, conditioning wise. And then, of course, the challenge of improving your game. Like you said, Ron, the man is still not a threat. He had that one game where he had like 6 threes in his rookie year. He had like 6 threes.
That was his first game. He came in and hit 5 threes.
He has not done anything since. So you're right, because we know how much of a tank he is, but look at how the game is played now. You have to be able to stretch the floor, especially at his size. At his size and his position, the power forward position is non-existent anymore. There's no such thing. So you're gonna have to be able to play between a small forward and a center, stretch the floor, be able to shoot the mid-range, be able to shoot the three, be able to at least be a threat from outside of 5 feet of the basket.
At least the mid-range. Like
doesn't have that.
You don't have to be Steph Curry.
As soon as he plays, like we're talking about elite, we're talking about just good defenders, big bodies. I was at the game when he played Giannis. Locked up. What are you doing? Non-existent. Can't shoot a 3. Giannis not going for it. We seen in the play-in tournament. Play LeBron. Locked up. What he scored? 9 points? I seen him play Lou Dort. Locked up. When you play a man that knows your game and studies your game, that's not going to work in the playoffs. You need to go shoot a 3. Get your ass and go to the gym.
Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? You really got to dedicate some time into it, and now it's not all over for Zion, right? It's not all over. The contract has ways for him to earn back his guarantees by playing in enough games and hitting specific weight-in checkpoints. But
it's crazy.
That's really embarrassing, bro.
Treating you like, bro, that is literally holding your hand, bro. You're a grown man.
Exactly. Like Charles Barkley was saying too, he had Moses Malone to tell him, "You're fat, man. You're just fat." So who's going to tell Zion that you're overweight, man? You're a big body. Who's going to tell him that? Nobody can tell him that. That's the problem.
And that's also a problem in the league in general. Like you need I think the importance of a veteran presence is like really being
exactly.
Well, you need one.
Yeah,
you need one. We see teams like these fucking. We see teams like the Pistons drop 27, almost they're 25 in a row. They're finna lose the most games in NBA history. They don't got no one in there that's going to light a fire under these young players' asses and say, "Man, let's go out there and just play for with nothing to lose." We saw it last year with the Rockets. They had no one in that locker room to hold the young people, the young players accountable, and it spiraled into what's his name, Kevin Porter Jr. Fucking Jalen Green on camera. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no veteran presence in these locker rooms, and it's like that with the Pelicans. CJ McCollum, but shit, CJ McCollum he's the head of the Players Association. He ain't gonna get up on Zion's ass.
What has McCollum done? If I'm Zion, what are you telling me? We going? What have you done? Nothing.
It didn't even have to be a great player, just somebody who's willing, like a Udonis Haslem. Haslem, he's not hooping. We know Haslem's not there to hoop, but he's a vet presence. He knows basketball, and he's gonna tell you, like, he's gonna get in your face and say you're fat.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got the cash, you got the resume.
Put down the box combos. Put down the 3-piece. Come on, man.
Put down the po' boys and the beignets and
the gumbo. Come on, man.
Now look, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Get him to Utah, bro. Get him some take the seasoning out of his diet.
Exactly.
No seafood boils. No, none of that.
You can't have none
crawfish. No, none of that. Cause hey, look, man. I ain't gonna lie. You got some good ass food.
You get a fruit bowl every morning. That's what you need.
Yeah. One of them acai smoothie bowls, and
just get a chef, bro. Just get a
no. Don't get a chef. No,
not none of them. Not no influencer chef. Not an influencer chef. You need a real chef, one that's gonna really break down. Get them fruit, starch, and vegetables. Eat starch and vegetables with some fruit on the side, man. That's what you need.
I need to try fasting. And look at me over here trying to critique him, trying to be a dietitian. Hey, look, I can cut from 150 to 135 every 4 months for a fight, and I like to eat too. So if I can do it, you know what I'm saying, you can do it, bro. And it's not to, bro. You, I don't know, bro. I wish I was his size. I wish I was his height and his build, his muscular build. And all I have to do is just watch my weight, and everything else will come with it.
But yeah, it's really just from a place of wanting to see. And he said that the other day when he was like, if it's from a place of just wanting to see me do better, I get it. It's all from a place of wanting to see you be the best Zion you can be, because we know what a game changer you can be when you're the best Zion. So that's why it's and then now, my problem is now you're messing up your bag. Like, it's one thing to not be a winner. There's plenty of NBA stars that aren't winners, that don't go out, that literally admitted that they're not winning is not their number one priority. But now you're messing up your bag. So if you're not winning, you're messing up your bag. What do you have left?
Right.
Nothing.
That's what you got left.
You got food left, clearly.
That's exactly what you gonna have left.
You had a question, Ron? You still?
I have a question for both of y'all. If going back into that draft, are you taking Zion number one? Or are you taking Ja Morant number one?
I'm taking Ja. Stick talk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very good question because if all things considered, they both got their own issues, but I will take Ja too because that's something that I think that he is going to learn from. I think that's something Ja's going to learn from, and we're not going to be talking about that again for his career. That's what I really truly feel that way. Because you don't get paid during those 25 games you miss. So he was just sitting on the couch doing nothing. Zion, on the other hand, he's too. I think what he has, I don't want to see he has an eating problem because I'm not trying to diagnose nobody with a serious condition like that. But I think that what he has, the way he plays, and the problem he has of managing his weight, it doesn't mesh. That you need a lot of explosiveness to play the way you play, and now you're carrying all that weight. Eventually, it's going to turn out a way that it ain't going to be good for your long-term career. We already seen him miss a full season. He only played 29 games last year. He only played about 20-some games years prior. I would take Ja Morant as well.
Yeah, especially depending on what city I'm in. Because
hold on now, I say if he come down to New Orleans, he's gonna get real trenches. I'll just say that right.
I'm about to say, dude.
He's gonna be up there around 9 in the Ninth Ward. It's not gonna be well. You thought he was blocks then. Wait till he come down to New Orleans.
That's what I'm saying. I think, but still, I would still take Ja regardless because I think it's just. Like you said, I don't think we're going to see problems from Ja again regarding, what he dealt with. I think it was some immaturity. It was something that, he clearly didn't let it affect his game. His on-court product is still the same when he's on the court. Obviously, he missed the time that he had to miss, but I think he's past that now. I think he understands his branding. He understands his image, the image that he has to maintain for not just himself but for the league, because I know it messed up his endorsement money, it messed up his NBA money. So I think Ja, like we said, I strongly believe that we are past this stage of Ja Morant toting guns on Cam. But with Zion, I just it's a want. I don't want to I don't want to talk on a I don't want to talk on a man's mentality, but it just, from what we've seen, he just does not want it that bad. So, and that's just what we've seen. So I would, if you went back, I'm taking Ja number 1 10 times out of, or 9.5 times out of 10.
I agree.
And this is nothing to take away from Zion's play, because we know how good he is. But if we how this has been 2019, so it's been about 4 or 5 years since he's been in the league, and he has just plateaued at his what we know him as. What do we know him more for? His play on the court, or for him not being able to, or fat jokes?
Fat jokes.
That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. It's not. And it can just spiral out of control. So if I'm the Pelicans, I'm trading Zion like before February. Before the trade deadline, or I think the trade deadline might be in March, but wherever the trade deadline is, I'm trading you before then, because we have something good. We got Trey Murphy, we got Brandon Ingram, we got I know Jose Alvarado, he's been hurt, hasn't been playing, but we got him too. You got what's buddy named
Jordan Hawkins, Dyson Daniels. You got a bunch
of
you
got a lot of pieces. You can trade Zion now and get a high return. It might not be the highest, but you can still get. Firstly, I'm not trading Zion if I'm gonna get slopped in return, but so you're gonna get something, and you can still put together a great product on the court. So if I'm the Pelicans, look, you've shown me your colors. You can't stay on the court. We're giving you chances. We paid you. We wanted to give you this money, but you can't even make this weight. You can't play. If you can't stay on the court, you can't pay you. So we're going to go ahead and move on from you, and we're going to find someone who can reliably come back in and give us a good return. But with that being said, who will be taking Zion? Like,
I was literally just about to ask what question. That was the question I was about to ask.
Because look, you got Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan in Chicago. They're going to be moving on soon. You got what's another team that's kind of in?
I heard he wants to go to the Knicks. He's been saying that, but you can't handle the Knicks criticism.
And then him and Julius Randle on the court, they would have to trade Julius Randle. But why would you bring Julius Randle back to New Orleans? Like, that's just, New Orleans. Why would you do, if you're New Orleans? Why would you take Julius Randle back? Then for me, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who we would give up, but maybe we could send CP3 home, man, for Zion.
Hell nah.
Yeah, get out of here, please.
Man, averaging 2 points, man.
Y'all don't want to. Y'all want your boy back.
I can go up there and do the same thing he doing right now. That's my boy. But no, man. Matter of fact, hold on 1 second. That's my boy right here. See what I'm saying? But you gotta
you got the exclusives. That's exclusive.
Bring him home, man. Bring him home, man.
Do the commercial.
but
It's over with.
if I'm the Warriors, it depends on what I can. It depends on what I can package together. But that might not be a bad fit.
You're gonna have to trade Andrew Wiggins. You're gonna have to trade Draymond.
Please, bro. Take both of them, bro.
You have to trade Klay Thompson up there too.
Bro, if you sat right in front of me and told me Andrew Wiggins, Draymond, and Klay Thompson for Zion, I'm taking that right now.
If I'm the Pelicans, I'm not. That's all I know.
I ain't taking that. I ain't taking that damn fiend on the court.
Exactly.
That damn man for the turn gonna go from a fat boy to a pro wrestler. No.
I'll take Zach LaVine. That's a good one though. I'll definitely take
I think Zach LaVine and Brandon Ingram, those are two ballers. I think firstly the Bulls got to move on from both of them because ever since Lonzo got hurt, it's just been downhill. They need to just blow that team up. And it's crazy that we're saying this again because if you look at how many times the Bulls have had to blow up that team since Michael Jordan has retired, it's kind of a ridiculous amount. They were trash until Derrick Rose.
Yep.
Then Derrick Rose kept getting hurt. Then they were trash until Jimmy Butler really came into his own game. And then once Jimmy Butler left, they were trash until they got Zach LaVine. Exactly. And now with Lonzo Ball getting hurt, they're just back in the basement of the East. If we're just looking at stuff that fits, that would be a preferable trade if I'm the Pelicans. If I can get, I wouldn't say DeMar, but if I can get Zach LaVine, for sure.
I think you definitely would not lose a step. I think you'd be in the same position or even better, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. But then again, that's a lot of guard play. That's a lot of guards y'all have. Y'all have B.I., who he's a guard and a forward, but B.I., Zach LaVine, Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones, C.J. McCollum. That's a lot of guards. So y'all going to be playing not small, but I would be top heavy pretty much in the backcourt. Yeah. But yeah, so Zion, we're all rooting for you. We're all rooting for you. We don't want you to fail because that's lame. But your career has just been tumultuous so far, and it's a clear problem. It's a clear problem that you're going to have to actively work through, get the help that you need, wherever. And it's not to make you look like a bad person, but you need to get the help that you need. If you don't know, ask somebody. You got all these resources of people who used to be fat coming into the league. Call up Charles Barkley, man. Charles Barkley will be willing to help you. You got. I'm sure Shaq could help you too, because in the beginning of his career, if you look at the physique of Shaq and you look at the physique of Shaq in his Magic days, that's what Zion can be.
Exactly.
That's what he can be.
Just a shorter version.
Just a shorter version. So ask these OGs for their help. You know what I'm saying? You ain't the only one, bro. So we want to see you succeed, but also the NBA is a business, and I think you're starting to realize that because now your money not going to be guaranteed for these next 3 years, for the next 3 years, and you could get cut after next year. So it's a business. Money talks, and hopefully that money not being guaranteed is enough to talk him into getting his play better and getting his weight under control.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're gonna move on to back to the NFL. We're gonna circle back to the NBA at the end, but we're gonna go back to the NFL and we're gonna talk about the Demontae Kazee suspension. The Steelers. He had a pretty hard hit, a hard hit on Michael Pittman. It wasn't his fault, honestly. It was Garner Minshew's fault. He led him right into the, what do they call the middle of the field? They call that the what's it called it? When they lead the receivers through the middle of the field with them big old linebackers waiting for him.
Death ball. He just threw a death ball.
That's what it is, a death ball. So yeah, you literally, Garner Minshew threw one of the absolute worst footballs to Michael Pittman possible. Michael
Pittman just showing effort, laying out for the ball. Can't blame the receiver for
trying to make a play. Exactly. And I can't blame Demontae Kazee for going out there and trying to stop him from doing so. So he was initially suspended for the remainder of the season and the postseason because of the multiple unnecessary roughness penalties and fines that he collected throughout the season. And that, pretty much the hit on Michael Pittman was the last straw. They ended up reducing it to just the regular season, and if they are able to make the playoffs, Demontae Kazee will be able to return. Tom Brady, he made some comments on the play itself, and pretty much just how the NFL is being played now, with how protected quarterbacks are, and how protected quarterbacks are, and how they need to have some more accountability. Pretty much saying that hard hits happen; it's a part of football, but we can't continue to have the defensive players keep the offensive players well-being in mind when they're trying to make a play and win games. And I want to get y'all's opinions on how do y'all feel about the state of the NFL and what more can be done to make it an even play field for defensive players. I'm gonna start with you, Nah.
Yeah, well, I tweeted out something the other day. I said possible hot take. Now the offensive player in me wants to lean to support the offense, like most of the time, and I will say that, like you understand football is a physical game. Football is a physical game, so you're good. So it's physical. It's a contact sport, and it's the most contact of a contact sport. You got grown men crashing into each other, basically a car crash every weekend. And so things like, I just think personally, I said the possible hot take is that making anybody can go out and throw their body into a ball or into a player to break up a pass. I said using your hands might actually be good for the sport because it's technique. It's actually showing finesse. It's actually being able to track the ball as a defender and hitting the ball where it is, because just throwing your body into it, I don't think that takes any technique. But I do think it's not just the defender's responsibility to keep the offensive players safe. If that's the case, why we might as well switch to flags, because how are you telling someone who's supposed to be hitting someone else to keep, like, imagine you tell a fighter it's your responsibility to not hurt another fighter. Like, that's the mentality I have. And it's like, at one hand, you don't want to see players hurt. You don't want to see these players getting scary injuries, head, neck, back injuries of that sort. But on the other hand, it's the nature of the sport. And so I'm kind of in between with where I'm at personally. I think I'm more worried about where we're headed. I don't even think it's necessarily a terrible spot right now. And I think as a defender, you have to learn how to adapt to the NFL's ruling as it is, because you can't I understand once, twice, even 3 times, but at some point, dude, they're telling you can't just throw your body into the defender who's defenseless. You got to learn to, like I said, use your hands, because that's what's being pushed by the NFL themselves. So if you can't learn to do that, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's a technique thing. They're saying you can hit the ball out your hands. You can hit the ball out of his hand. The DBs do that all the time, but you can't just throw your body into the receiver. And I understand where the NFL is coming with that, because it's bad for the health and the future to just let players go out there and get murdered on the field. But like I said, I'm in between. I'm really in between. It's hard for me to pick a definitive side because there's so much.
So I want to respond to your stance on it. So you're in between. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm all on the defensive side on this one, 100%. And before I give my reasoning, I just want to read Tom Brady's quote. I was looking for it earlier, but the website was lagging. This is from an Instagram post regarding Demontae Kazee's suspension, and I quote: "Nobody likes seeing players get hurt, but hard hits happen. QBs should not be throwing the ball in areas where they are exposing their own teammates to these type of hits. Coaches need to coach better. QBs need to read quarterback or read coverages and throw the ball to the right places, and defenders should aim for the right hitting areas. To put the blame on the defensive player all the time is just flat out wrong. Need better QB play. It's not okay, QBs, to get your wide receivers hurt because of your bad decisions." And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say I agree with Tom Brady because he's not. I don't think he's going either way 100% because he's saying, he said defenders need to be hitting the right hitting areas, which is also very true. So I think I would agree with Tom Brady's sentiments that it's not. There's nobody who should get sole blame. Defenders shouldn't get sole blame, and quarterbacks, receivers, etc. shouldn't get sole blame either. But you go ahead. So what you were?
It's one of, and he is kind of in the middle. He did a good job at holding defensive players accountable too, because like you said, you can't just throw your body into someone and expect there to be like, if you're not aiming for the ball, now you're putting, and you just want to bring the man down by throwing your body into him. That's a large zone. It's a large man that you're going to be trying to tackle. Anything can happen, especially if you go up top. But what I think, why I'm siding with the defensive players 100% is because the league is offense. They have bended the rules to where everything is going to suit the offensive player more. So we've seen quarterbacks, the ones who like to get physical, like a Josh Allen, they've been able to lower their head, get super low, and run over these defenders. And I'm looking at the defenders like, well, what can you do? You get low with him, now you're going helmet to helmet. Now you're targeting. Now you're going to go too low. Now you might, what I'm saying? Like it's. I feel like there's too much freedom for an offensive player to dictate how the game is being played. And it's football. I like your analogy, Noble, where you said how you're going to tell a fighter not to be violent in a sport that's violent, or pretty much saying like it's your responsibility not to hurt the other fighter. And we see that when we see a knockout and the man is clearly out, but the referee doesn't come and stop it immediately. So the man the man comes in and does some ground and pound, while the dude is clearly defenseless, clearly is not going to get back up and defend himself. We've seen that, and we've seen fans get upset at the fighter for doing so, being like, "Oh, there's no honor in that, and you knew he was out. Why did you go in and give him unnecessary damage?" That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to go win. My responsibility is to knock this man out and get my show money and my win money. And I feel the same for the defensive players. My responsibility is to stop you from scoring. I'm getting paid this money to stop you from scoring. Why is it that I have to bend the way that I was taught to play the game? I was taught to tackle. I was taught to bring down a man who's bigger than me. I was taught to bring down someone who's more physical than me. I was taught to sack the quarterback. And yes, you're right that there is a need for evolution. Like, okay, you can't just completely torpedo your body into the man's helmet. Can't do that no more. And I get that, but they're talking about banning the hip drag tackle. Now you can't hit a quarterback too high. Now you can't hit the quarterback too low. It's too much leeway for an offensive player to have reign over how the game is dictated. And I feel for the defensive players in that manner.
Yeah, I agree with a lot. Like I said, I'm a little bit in the middle, but I definitely it's certain things. It's certain things. Like especially with the quarterback, I don't agree with any of the quarterback rules. I mean, I understand no helmet to helmet, but like the no low, you can't go low, can't go high. Like you said, it's especially with the quarterback because that's such a it's so when you're going for a sack in particular, there's so many different like ways that you can't land on them, even though you're throwing your momentum into them after being,
that's
having
the part
to fight with all offensive linemen. So I think with those, I think I'm completely on the defense with those. I'm more so talking about defenseless receivers because one thing they did take away to help the defense, they took away the crackback block. Now we saw Hines Ward literally break a man's jaw on a crackback block. So they took that away to help the defense. So I think it's fine if there's a little give and take. And I just think when it comes to in ball in air is where I'm leaning more towards the offense because there's just so many, and that's the reason they took away the crackback block is because when you're focused and coming from someone who's been on the field, when you're locked in on the ball, everything around you is just out. You can't see someone coming from the other side of the field. So when you're locked in on the ball, your receiver your job as a receiver is to go catch the ball first. Forget rack, forget everything else. It's about catching the ball. So when you're locked in on that ball and you have a defender right there, I can't. It's more about receiver health for me because you can't do anything in that situation. And obviously, the quarterback needs to be better and not throw you into a bad situation like that. But I think there's some level where, as a defender, you have to be able to stop a receiver without just flat out throwing your body into the receiver. So ball in air is mainly where I'm a lean offense, but everything like you said, tackling, banning the hip drop, I don't agree with that. QBs,
Okay, so
they're already coddled. It's
before I get to you, Ron, I know I want you to get your opinions on this too, but let's just focus on ball in air then. So the NFL football is pretty big, but compared to a grown man in the air trying to catch it, which one is going to be the easier target to prevent a play? The ball or the man?
well,
if I'm a defensive player, I'm gonna say it's going to be the man who's trying to catch it. If I can stop him completely from getting it, if I can encourage him to not come back over this side of the field again, that's what I want to do. Like, and that's why that's not the receiver health is definitely is crucial because nobody wants to see a top receiver get hurt. But that's on a quarterback now. If I'm and this is what receivers back in the day had to worry about. If I'm playing the Steelers and I know Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, if I know these damn hard hitting motherfuckers gonna be lurking the field, and I know that my quarterback is going to throw me on the in route 15 yards deep, and I have a chance to make a play on the ball, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm bracing. I'm bracing, or I'm going up for the ball in expectance of getting hit. I'm not. I get what you're saying, where you're going to hone in 100% on catching the ball, and that's your number one priority as a receiver. But you got to brace. You got to make sure that you are going to protect yourself, because I'm not here to protect you. I'm here to make a play. Yeah, that's what I'm more so like siding for the defensive players with. Why do I need to keep him in my? As long as I'm not being dirty, what's the problem?
Well, my thing is, I've seen lots of examples of defenders not necessarily like playing through the hand. Like I saw earlier, and he got a flag for it. I didn't agree with it. It was in the Browns 49ers game that sparked the Browns to go on their game-winning drive. On third down, Tashawn Gibson got a penalty for using his shoulder, and the hit looked more violent than it actually was, and he didn't hit helmet. It was shoulder to right in the gut. And I like something like that, I'm all for. Like, I think you know, like you said, this target is a lot easier than going for a football. But I think the problem is when, you get shoulder pad straight into helmet. You get shoulder pad, it mainly up here. This is really the area where I don't like defenders just being able to throw themselves into. Because like this, I don't care about the torso. This is, you're supposed to get hit here, dude. You're a football player. Legs, you're supposed to get hit in the legs. You're a football player. It's mainly for me just about this area up here. I think it's fair to say it's off limits to not hit someone in the head. And so like you said, you as a defender, bro, my job is to stop you. Your job as a receiver is to catch it. My job is to stop you. And so I agree that there should be some physicality for sure. There should be a lot of physicality for sure. But my thing is really just neck and above is where I'm like, okay, dude, you gotta. There's certainly, that's why there's illegal hits. There are illegal striking in fighting. You can't elbow someone in the back of the head for a reason. So I think, like I said, it's really just about certain areas where defenders can't hit, which is mainly for me neck and above.
Go ahead, Ron. Let me hear what you got to say with it.
My thing is really, I think I agree with Tom Brady. We need to start putting the blame on the quarterbacks too. You send your receiver up. You're basically just setting your receiver up, like going back with the Antonio Brown situation when he got knocked out, Juju, all of these. You're just setting your receiver up. So as a DB, like you said, we're going back to Ryan Clark. Back in those days, what do you want him to do? My job is what?
To lay that wood.
Exactly. Go get the ball and lay the wood. And if you're in the way, what do you want me to do? I can't. That's my job. That's what I'm trained to do. So, but as far as headhunting, I don't agree with that. But in that situation, I don't think that was headhunt. I think it's just, what do you want him to do? If he's diving on the ground and I'm trying to tackle you to prevent you from getting the ball, that's just going to be the situation. You can't put blame on him for throwing a bad ball. That's just my thing. But I agree on both sides, like what you're saying, no. But I just think we need to start putting more blame on the quarterbacks for just setting them up.
I think that also, I think there should be more leeway for intent.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Like you can tell. Go ahead.
Like Vontaze Burfict, we knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
we knew he was hitting.
He was purposely trying to hurt Antonio Brown. Yeah. It was a super high stakes game, and it was already bad blood between the two. And the man has already have a proven history of dirty plays. So when he does it, I don't care what your intent was at that point. You're getting thrown out and you're getting suspended. That's acceptable. But with Demontae Kazee and Michael Pittman, like you said, he was diving for the ball. There was the only intent that Kazee had, at least from our eyes. Of course, that man in the back of his head, he probably was saying, I'm going to hurt this man. He could have been. But from what we saw, from what the viewers seen, it was he was just trying to make a play. And if we can factor that in a little bit more, and I know if we do that, that means we're putting a lot more power to the referees and their discretion.
Objectivity, yeah.
Exactly. But I don't know, like some things just don't need to be called then. How about that? You can like, even in live action, it didn't look like a dirty play. It didn't look like he was trying to purposely hit him in the head. It's football. Sometimes getting hit up top is going to, you're going to get your brain rattled a little bit. It's going to happen without the intent of doing it. Like I wonder on those little on those QB sneaks and the tush push and all that stuff, how many times the O-linemen get their head scrambled in that mass of men.
That's what happened to Brock Purdy. He got the whole concussion thing from a QB sneak.
Right. So it's going to happen. It's football. Your head is exposed, even with the helmet. Your head is exposed because it's sitting on top of the rest of your body. So if you get hit there, sometimes it's okay. I know the with the advance of technology, CTE and all this stuff is going to and the brain injury is going to continue to rise and be more pertinent, and we don't want more cases of Aaron Hernandez to happen. But just like with fighting, it's a violent sport. It's what it is. It is intrinsic in its nature. It is what the sport is. It was built on violence. You can only make it so safe. I think we already have with newer helmet technology, with the newer concussion protocols, with these different things in effect. You can only make something so safe before it's like driving, even driving a car.
Exactly.
We got all this technology, and driving a car is still more dangerous than any other form of transportation. I feel like it's like this. It's similar with football. You can only make football so safe before it becomes no longer football.
Just touch football, flag football.
Well, I'm fine if they allow the upper body hits, as long as the defenders are able to be. If they bring back the crackback block. It's like, cause, I mean, for me, it's like you can't have it one way. You can't have it one way. You can't be able to hit the receiver however you want, and then not expect. On the other side, if you're searching for the ball, you see the running back coming on a stretch play. I'm the receiver. I'm coming this way. I should be able to lay you out too. I'm just saying they got to be able to get their get back if they can. You know what I'm saying? Like I just think I'm cool with. And that's how it used to be. Hines Ward used to literally, he would make linebackers not want to come his way because they might get crackback. So I think it's cool if you're gonna go back, but it's like we can't either both ways. You can't go one-sided. You can't help the offense out too much, and you can't help the defense out too much without compensating on the other side for what you just helped that side of the football do. So I think it's about balance, right? Like it's just about balance. Like you can't if the whole reason why the hip drop tackle exists is because defenders don't want to go high out of risk of helmet to helmet. So that's my thing, is that you can't take away and keep taking without giving back something, because that's why we're in the conversation that we're having now.
Right. So yeah, I agree with that too. Like, I don't want it to be one sided, not at all, because bro, offense is fun, but also defense is fun. Like being able to see like when was the last time we had just a dominant defense? Like you just cannot score on these folks.
Had to be Legion of Boom.
That was a very fun period of time. And it wasn't like they were unbeatable. It wasn't like they were unbeatable. They still had trouble against the 49ers in the conference championship in 2013.
Championship.
They lost to the Patriots, and the Patriots were scoring. Like they weren't just like, it wasn't a low scoring game the whole time. They were scoring.
Yeah, but Cam Chancellor was a good example though, because he would hit you hard, but he wasn't headhunting. So like that Vernon Davis hit, that is one of the craziest hits I've ever seen. Where he was that was an insane hit. But that's what I'm saying. Like I'm cool with that, because that's football. You're gonna get hit hard, dude. If my whole thing, like I said, my whole thing is up here is a touchy subject for a defenseless receiver in my eyes. But I definitely have no problem with certain hits. And then, like you said, intent. I think intent is should be a bigger factor, because while I don't think you should get away with unlimited penalties just because of intention, I think there's a point where it's like he clearly wasn't trying to. Especially if it's something that's warranting suspension, I think you have to take a look at intent when it comes to like suspension, because now you're messing up dude money. Now you're messing up the team. So I think with something like suspension, I think intent is definitely now intent in terms of a penalty. I think you can throw it out the window, because I think that's just too subjective, having the referees already have too much on their plate as it is, because with intent. So I think when it comes to a penalty, I don't think intent should matter. But when it comes to a suspension, I definitely think intent should matter.
All right. Last night, we're going to circle back to basketball. Last night, the Utah Jazz beat the Detroit Pistons. What's new? In the second game of a back-to-back for them. The Jazz were without Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Lauri Markkanen, and Omer Yurtseven. This was arguably the Pistons' best chance to break that their losing streak of, what is it, 24 games now?
25.
That was their best chance. 25. Okay, 25 games. That was their best chance to break that record. And now they're only one defeat away from tying the NBA record for the longest single season losing streak. The last time this happened was the 2013-2014 Sixers. And before then, there was the 2010-2011 Cavs. That was the year LeBron left. So the Pistons' last wins, they came on back-to-back days in October when they beat the Hornets and they beat the Bulls. So what are y'all's opinions on the Pistons, and what's next for the Pistons, honestly? How long do y'all see this losing streak going?
Who do they play
January
next?
5th. The Raptors.
Oh, well, that's an L. But like you said before, Tony, they're just a young team. And I like Monty Williams as the coach. He just can't get a control of that team. They're just too young. They probably don't even have a person on their team older than like 33 on that team. It's like,
I'm sorry, I said the Raptors. They play the Nets back to back.
Oh, still another L. But it's just they can't get a control. It's the team is just too young. But it's just unacceptable. I saw the interview, Kay Cunningham talking about, it just can't be. There's no way possible.
We're not 2-26 bad.
Yes, you are, buddy.
Sorry to tell you.
Sorry to inform you. You are. You are. So it's like
Let me check my stat sheet real quick.
Exactly. And the
I
crazy
hate
thing
to
is,
be the one to tell you, my
exactly.
boy, but
It's like
the bearer of bad
the
news.
young
Well, buddy,
core,
you're 2-26.
the young core is not that bad for them. They had one of the best rookies that might win rookie. The way he's been playing really good. It's like I don't think that Monty Williams can get control of that team. They're just too young. That's all I
it
have
reminds
to
me
say.
of Steven Silas last year with the Rockets. He
Exactly.
didn't
Young.
have the locker room at all.
Mhm.
But the Pistons, the thing about it, like last night, Cade scored 20, Jaden Ivey scored 20, or Cade scored 20 something, Jaden Ivey scored 20 something, Marvin Bagley on 10 to 12 shooting had 20 something. They, even when they have their best players do well, they still can't win. So I think that comes down to coaching, because you got three players dropping 60 plus points. How are you still losing to the Jazz with no Laurie, no Jordan Clarkson, no THT? That for me is coaching. That's not personnel. Obviously they don't have a good roster, but for me, you have three players that scored 20 plus. That was 70 points right there. All you had to do was finish out the rest of the, like, I just think Monty got how much a year? It was like 5 year, 90 million, something like that.
He got the bag. I ain't gonna lie.
He got a crazy bag, and like for a player, if a player wasn't performing, obviously
78.
6 years, 78. Yeah, if a player was performing as poorly as he was coaching, they would be cut. And obviously, you can't just fire the man. But I think there should be more emphasis on Monty's lack of coaching, lack of taking the locker room, and just I don't want to say willing to a win because he's not on the court, but there's got to be something, bro. Like you're about to tie the longest losing streak of all time. You're going to be known as the coach that tied the longest losing streak at all time. I think there's there, and it also kind of begs the question, like what, like with the Suns, what was he like? What was the difference? Obviously, but why is this such a stark difference? There's a difference. I don't think exactly like he said we're not 2-26 bad. I kind of agree. Like I was making the jokes earlier, but I kind of agree. I don't think any team is 2-26 bad. And I just think there should be more emphasis on coaching and what like actually seeing what's the issue, because I don't think it's purely a personnel issue. Although they do have a terrible roster, let's not get that confused.
So it's such a weird case because like it is one of those things where it's like who is to blame? Somebody is to blame here. You don't lose 25 games in a row and nobody's to blame. Somebody is going to get the damn boot. So it's and oftentimes these losses aren't close despite they lost 119 and 111 yesterday, but a lot of these losses are blowouts. The fans were chanting "sell the team" in the final minutes of the game. Like it was,
Brown paper bags on,
man. They had bags over their heads. It's embarrassing. If the current streak stands at 28 games, the Sixers in 2014, 2015, they lost 28 straight games.
Yeah, that was like across a season. So that was.
So, but exactly. So, but if the Pistons continue to lose, they're gonna break this record by December 30th. They're gonna finish this year breaking the longest losing streak in NBA history. So it's serious, like how bad this is.
They got Nets, Celtics, Raptors, not winning.
L.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be very embarrassing because I really see them doing that. It's going and like you said, I put a lot of it on Monty Williams and the coaching because no, I'm not gonna put too much on him. I'm sorry. I'll put a lot of these on the players because dude, I ain't gonna lie to you. If I'm over here losing all these games, it's gonna get to the point where it's like, dog, we're gonna like fuck a play call. We're going to go out here and just hoop, bro.
Exactly.
We're going to just hoop.
And I think what was I about to say? Yeah, at some point, and I think the worst part of it is now people are gonna like in against certain bad teams. Like sometimes we'll see a good team lose to a bad team. You'll be like, what happened there? I think right now they're at the point nobody wants to lose to them. Nobody wants to be the ones to break the streak. We saw Kelly Olynyk go out and drop 27. That nobody right now is like every team is going to be coming at them harder because nobody wants to be the team to be the first to lose, to be the ones to give the Pistons that win because the clowning that comes with that. So I think they're in such a bad spot now because not only are you not the best team, but now you might be bringing out the best of other players that normally wouldn't be doing that at Kelly Olynyk. Now you got players that don't want to
Kelly Bird.
Now you got players that don't want to be on the bad side of history. So yeah, they're in a really rough spot right now. But I'm telling you, if it makes it to January 5th, the Warriors will find a way to sell. They're just at that point. It's one of those seasons.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Hawks a couple of nights ago, but we managed to beat him. And man, I'm actually, you know what I'm saying, I be hating on my teams a lot. Not even hating, I be critiquing them a lot, and deservedly so. But bro, have y'all seen the way Trae Young has been playing? That man has been
I saw the last 5 games. He's been dropping like double, like 30s every game, huh?
And like 11 plus assists every game, and we're winning. So we're still in a mediocre roster, but the way Trae Young's been playing, that might just revive the rest of this team. But
that should light a fire in the team.
Yeah, because he's playing better than besides 2021 when we made the playoffs, he's playing the best he's been playing all his whole career.
That's crazy. Media don't even talk about
11 assists, 1.3 steals. Yeah, you already know the media. The media don't mess with him.
They whisper his accomplishments and yell his failures for sure. He's one of, I don't know why he's one of the players in that category, but they definitely don't rock with him at all. I don't know why.
Media doesn't, basketball fans, quote unquote fans, don't, I guess it has something to do with when he came out and he was being compared to Curry. They're like, oh yeah. Yeah, they was salivating. They was Birdman rubbing their hands at the chance to bring him down. After 2021, yeah, they was ready. But yeah, so yeah, Pistons, man, that it's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to see. And the fact that they could dead for real break that record before this year is over is really sad. It's really sad. The last time they won a game was at the beginning of the season.
That's insane.
That is crazy.
I wonder, what do you say in the locker room? Like, well, boys, tried.
They're not saying nothing. I wouldn't be saying a damn word in that locker room. I would have been in mute. I would have been there. I don't even have stuff in my locker. Nope. I don't have my locker. Would have been cleaned out already. I would have been just because I know I'm gonna get traded soon. I'm gonna demand a trade soon. So I'm just gonna be dressing out on my little duffel bag. I don't need nothing in my locker. I'm already ready. I'm ready for the notification tomorrow. Exactly. I'm ready for the notification tomorrow. Man, there ain't no team bonding exercises, none of that. In practice, I'm gonna have my AirPods in the whole time, be hooping my book bag on and everything. It's gonna be like a PE gym. No, none of that. Ain't no team over here. We over here just
my book bag and my shoes and my book bag, a basketball and some shoes in my book bag.
Yeah, I'm shooting around in slides, bro. That's how serious I'm taking this season.
A Brandon run, bro.
Hey Tony, they need to put ranking jingle bells on the court.
I'm saying that they need to go ahead and have them try out too, because at least they got some energy. At least I see some energy on the court. They might mess around, hit a 3 too. They might hit a couple threes. Man,
yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
Everything possible.
I don't know what you tell grown men after.
Can't tell them nothing.
Like I understand high schoolers, you can preach effort, but this is different. I don't know what you say.
The Pistons need rank.
It's so early in this. it's so early in the season too. Like it's one thing if it's near the end of the season and you're just like, guys, let's just focus on finishing strong. Dude, we're not even halfway. Like,
no finishing strong.
I don't know what you do.
But they need to bring back the professor. They need Airbud. They need Rank. They need Gilly. They need Wallow to come on too. They need everybody possible.
They need Mason.
They need Master P to come back. They need everybody who has some type of basketball experience to come in and play on this team. Everybody with some basketball experience, because right now this is embarrassing. It is a tryout
for the rest of the spots of the team.
Literally, because this is a shame. It truly is. Look, OJ Mayo, Michael Beasley, they might need to damn put in a petition too.
Dwight and DeMarcus Cousins from Taiwan.
DeMarcus Cousins, Jimmer Fredette. They can bring back everybody.
Bring Kimba from Europe. Go grab him real quick.
Jimmer Fredette, whoever you need.
Tell you, everybody. Simbular, bring back everybody, bro.
Seem to be,
yeah.
Everyone, bro. There needs to be an open tryout, bro. They need to just put out a job application.
Every game needs to be a different roster. Just different,
at this point,
different 10-man every game.
Because clearly the players you're playing ain't working. So it's time to just blow this up and just bring on some new fresh faces, bring on some new meat. Because at this point, bro, this is sad. Everybody needs to come on. Who they need to bring back some retired players too. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Exactly.
They need Abdul Rauf to bring back.
Come on, you give me everybody.
Look, MJ, he still be playing too. He might need to come back too.
Inside the TNT, go get the whole cast. Just Shaq, Ernie Rand, McKinney. Because it's just at this point, I don't know what I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do other than literally throwing the line. I mean, like, what do you like? You keep throwing the same lineup out there, and normally it's like, oh, eventually they'll get a win, but I can't say eventually they'll get a win with this team.
Nope. Like, honestly, and we just look at the offensive talent in the NBA is just blown up since the last time we've had a team go on this massive losing streak. So even if they're not playing good, even if we're not playing good and I'm playing the Pistons, I'm gonna be like, well, at least we can outscore you. Literally, it's like y'all can't get a stop. Y'all can't get a stop. And y'all not going to outmatch another team offensively. We already seen that's not going to work. So yeah, what do y'all do? There's nothing to do.
I got nothing.
I
have nothing other than the recommendations we just said. I got nothing. Open tryouts.
Calvin Cambridge, Joanna Man, everybody. Tell you. So finally, before we wrap up the show, we talk about there's this report going on. We'll circle back to the NFL. There's this report going on of Deflategate Part 2. Back when the Chiefs beat the Patriots 27-17 on last Sunday, there were certain footballs that were underinflated by 2 pounds, according to Mass Live's Mark Daniels. And I do want to put a name on it too. After complaints were made, officials took balls meant for each team's kicking units into the locker room at Gillette Stadium at halftime, and they discovered that the balls weighed only 11 pounds per square inch when the NFL rules state that the balls must be inflated between 12.5 psi and 13.5 psi.
I'll tell you right now.
So clearly, I don't know if it had a real impact on the game or not, but it is super interesting.
I think that the interesting part is that you don't hear about it. I haven't heard about it. I didn't hear about it until you texted me about it. And looking at it now, the NFL has actually declined to comment on it. So they're not even going to address it, which is kind of crazy. The media hasn't said a word about it, like actual, ESPN or anything hasn't said a word about it. So it's looking like this might get, we might get some black SUVs outside just for talking about it right now.
Right.
But the air pressure is going to drop in cooler weather naturally. So, that was the whole thing about the first time, where is that, sometimes the air weather is going to drop naturally. That happens, just like in your tires. But you notice, and you definitely notice the difference. Like Patrick Mahomes would definitely notice the difference holding the football. I'm not going to say it's his responsibility to call out that, hey, the balls are deflated. And, this whole thing might just be a non-story. But I think it is telling that the NFL declined to comment and you don't see it being talked about.
Right. If you look at it, Harrison Butker, he made 2 of his 3 field goals in the game, including a 54-yarder. And what's his name? Chad Ryland. That is such a New England name. Chad Ryland went 1 for 2 with a longer 25 yards. So both teams were affected by it. But it is very interesting. Like, and I'm not trying, I didn't bring up this topic to have some massive blown out discussion, but, just the fact that, underinflated balls surrounding the Patriots again.
It's funny about the Patriots
it's
again.
super interesting. Yeah, like it's not something that happens often. And if you think about it, look, we don't hear none of this at Arrowhead. We don't hear none of this at High Mile Stadium. We don't hear none of this at Lambeau Field about some underinflated balls. So whatever's going on with the Patriots and the Chiefs, it is super interesting.
I didn't even know anything about it until you said something yesterday. I ain't know nothing about that.
I didn't know about it until I saw a thumbnail for Pat McAfee show on ESPN that was talking about it. I didn't watch the video itself, but it sparked me to do my research. And once I saw that this was a real thing, I was like, wow, again, it's the Patriots again. And not going to cast any blame on either side, but because the fact that one kicker missed a field goal, the other kicker missed a field goal, it pretty much canceled each other out. But just knowing how serious the Deflategate was the first time, and Tom Brady being suspended and losing, I think it was like $1 million in fines, losing draft picks, is a serious thing. And like you said, no, that the fact that they declined to comment is telling. So we'll see how this plays out. Best believe that the more and more information we find out about Deflategate Part 2, Deflategate 2.0, we're going to be right here talking about it on Hear Me Roar. And with that, boys, I think that wraps up the show. I ain't gonna lie. There's not much I want to talk about. Today's Thursday. This episode should be out hopefully today. I'm gonna try to edit. I'm gonna try something new with editing today. And get it out as quickly as possible. Another episode should be coming Tuesday because we got football. We got football tomorrow on Saturday. We got football Christmas Eve. And we got football Christmas Day. We talked about how good those games are going to be. So leading up to next week, we're going to have a lot to talk about. More basketball, of course, Christmas Day basketball. So the day after Christmas, you should catch us here. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, No. Thank you, Ron, for joining us.
Oh, thank you, man.
Back on again, of course. So
thank you for having me. Oh, my bad. Thank you for having me, man. It was good to talk sports with y'all and let out my anger, man. I really do appreciate y'all letting me come on here this morning, man.
Of course, man. You space to vent about your
Saints lost, Pelicans lost. They both spiraling, so you gotta get you on too. You gotta let you talk about it. It was a good discussion though. A lot of good topics. This is a episode where we weren't really talking about games specifically, other than Thursday night football and really, I guess the Pistons Jazz game and the Grizzlies Pelicans game. We weren't really breaking down games specifically, rather than talking about topics that were around the league. So this was a good change of pace in the episode. We got a new background. So we got a new background on the screen. We got some new name tags. You know what I'm saying?
Price going up.
We're going up. Hear me roar. So y'all gotta hop on the bandwagon real quick. So a way y'all can do that is by liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing this on y'all stories, rating us on Apple Podcasts, rating us on Spotify. Everything counts. We're growing. As you can see, we're trying to build Hear Me Roar up to be a mainstay, not just in the sports world, but just in the podcasting universe, period. And it's going to take time. And I'm fine with the game. I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I love the game. I love the hustle. So that's why we're pumping out all these episodes so much more consistently than I was in the past. Is because we found something that's working. We found something that is that can show signs of success. So as we continue to build the brand and build the quality of podcasts, it's going to just continue to be better from here. There's going to be more fun topics. There's going to be much more in-depth breakdowns, more guests. I like how today we brought you on, Ronald, when the Saints and the Pelicans were in the news lines. When we got when I know other people, when we know other people that have fandoms for certain teams too, we're gonna bring them on and get their opinions on it too. So it was a great episode today. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, share it to everybody, share it to your mama, your daddy, your auntie. Y'all listen to us on Christmas Day. Y'all listen to us in the car on Christmas Eve. Listen to us on a plane, wherever y'all going. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. Rate us on Spotify. Cannot state that enough. We need as much feedback and support as possible. And with that, this has been episode 30 of Hear Me Roar. We will be back here next Tuesday. And with that, we out.
Yes, sir.